Y'all are going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but Christian men have the best advantage in the dating market. Christian men actually have a massive advantage over non Christian men in modern dating. As messed up as modern dating is, guys, I know it's messed up. I know it's messed up. But if you are a true Christian man who knows who he is in Christ, you have a massive advantage. And I want to explain how that advantage works. To start off, I want to say most women are not great picks. Okay, we have a lot of women that are not great women of God, and there's always some inconsistencies. There's always some kind of issue, some kind of red flag that affects most women. Okay, but here's the cool part: if you're anything like me or the clients that I work with, you're not looking at most women realistically, right? So there's advantages to that. There's hard things about that. The hard thing is your pool for dating is very small. Every high, like goals, aspirations, ambitious man I work with, all of them are looking for the top 1% of the top 1%. They are looking for a very, very, very specific type of woman. And she is very rare. Okay, we're talking about a true Christian woman. What do I mean by that? A woman who is actively seeking the Lord. Okay, she's not just Christian with a Bible verse in her bio. She is actively seeking the Lord. She is getting closer to God in spiritual disciplines. She is not just attending a church, but being involved in her church. She's plugged into and connected to a local body of believers. Okay? That eliminates a lot of women right there. A lot of women may go to church regularly, but they're not actively seeking the Lord. Or they might be reading their Bible, but they're not regularly attending a church. Or they might be regularly attending church and plugged into the word, but they're not serving, they're not involved in any kind of way, they're not plugged in. Rare, out of the get. Okay, and then you're looking for a woman that you're attracted to. Okay, and I believe if you are not a slave to your sex drive and you are able to see a woman for her entirety, then you really don't need a certain body type. There may be things that you're just not attracted to, and that's okay. I'm not here to shame anybody for that. But you will be able to be attracted to many different types of women if your sex drive is not being artificially satiated through self-pleasure, dirty websites, that kind of thing, and you're not completely numb to just what natural beauty looks like, you're going to be able to be very attracted to more women than you might think. Okay. But still, finding a woman you're attracted to, there's probably a lot more that you're not than you are. Okay. So that's a problem. You are looking for a very rare type of woman, and it's hard by nature to find that rare type of woman. But here's where you have a massive advantage. The type of woman you are looking for, emotionally healthy, spiritually deep, okay, takes care of herself, prioritizes health and nutrition, has a good relationship with her family, has high standards that have been reflected through her life of who she allows into her life, who she allows to engage with her body, all those kinds of things. If you are looking for that type of woman, which I'm sure the large majority of you are, that type of woman has a similar mindset with the type of man she's looking for. She's looking for a confident, masculine, spiritually grounded man who she's attracted to, who is also responsible, who is hardworking, who prioritizes health and fitness, all these things. You can be that guy pretty simply, okay? It's not easy, but it isn't complicated either. Speaking from my own experience, I have talked to and or dated a broad range of women different races, different body types, different levels of conventional attractiveness, right? And they are usually not fixated on a certain type of guy. They are open to a lot of different types of guys, and that's a good thing. So don't think that you need to listen to modern dating advice because it's so toxic and corrupted. Modern dating advice, red pill guys, masculinity gurus, they will tell you that women are looking for a certain type of guy, and if you're not XYZ external metrics, you've already lost the game. Guys, that's how men think. That is not how feminine women of God think. A feminine woman of God, if she finds a man that does it for her, then a lot of her lists will go out the door. Because for her, it's something that she feels at a deep intuitive level. And trust me when I tell you, you will know when she is feeling that towards you. I'm not saying she'll never send mixed signals because sometimes they don't know what they're feeling, they don't know what they want. But if you are consistently masculine and confident, she will realize that she wants you. Okay? You will calibrate her emotions to your frequency. She will step into your frame. Okay? It is not as bleak as the secular world would have you think, or frankly, even as bleak as a lot of the Christian masculinity people will make you think. It is really not that hard. It's not that bleak. There are a lot of these rare women in that subgroup of rare women. A lot of them are truly just wanting the same thing that you want. They're wanting someone they're attracted to, that's strong in their faith, and that has the correct, for us, they're looking for a masculine man, right? A confident man. Now, here's where your advantage comes in. When you learn how to stand out, because the sea of men in the church are usually, sadly, at this time, they're usually not very masculine. They're usually not even that spiritually deep. They're usually not that confident. And if they are confident and masculine, then they're usually not that spiritual. Okay, so the combination thereof is rare. Okay, and the women that you want, they are getting pursued by the bad boys. They're getting pursued by men who they will not marry. I have seen this firsthand. There are women who I've dated who could have been with multiple guys that, on paper, and certainly physically too, seemed like they would be really, really good. But because these women do have high standards and they're looking for something specific that's deeper than that external, they are saying no to those types of men. And they might entertain them for a little too long, or they might date them, but they're not going to actually settle for those type of men once they really see who he is and how he's not aligned with who she wants to be. So your massive advantage is this. Even though the pool from which you are trying to select is very small, you will be like a dog whistle to that pool. No matter where I live in a very liberal area right now here in Kona, Hawaii. I used to live in a more conservative area, Northwest Arkansas on the mainland, and I've traveled to a lot of different places. No matter where you are, there are pockets of those women. And usually those pockets are very concentrated. They're very concentrated. So they'll be at specific churches, specific coffee shops, specific parts of town that they hang out in, right? If you're just out at Walmart, or if you're out at a bar, or if you're just out at the beach or out at the hiking trail, I'm not saying that all of these wonderful women are going to just swarm you, but they often exist in very concentrated pockets, okay? So all you have to do is this is going to sound so cringe and cliche. All you have to do is be yourself as a confident, masculine, spiritually deep, ambitious man. and you will be a dog whistle. So here's what that means. I don't know if you've ever heard a dog whistle, which is kind of a trick question. You can't really hear a dog whistle. Only dogs can truly hear the full frequency, the wavelength that that dog whistle makes. If you blow a dog whistle, it sounds just kind of like a broken whistle. It doesn't really have a shrill pitch. It seems kind of useless, but dogs hear it because they are attuned to that frequency. That's what they can hear. That's what they can pick up on because their hearing is different than ours. Now, women are not dogs, obviously. Men are probably closer to dogs than women. But in the same way, women that you want, this very small, rare group, they are very attuned to the frequency, if you will, of what you will project as a confident, masculine, ambitious, emotionally attuned, spiritually deep man. That is a very specific frequency that, just like that dog whistle, only those who are meant to hear it will really hear it. And that's not to say that if you're not, if you're good looking and in shape and those kinds of things, you will get more attention than just from that rare subset of Christian women. But you are also going to get disproportionate attention from the type of woman that you want. And I've seen this in my own life when those switches were made. And I've seen this in the lives of my clients too. So I'm telling you guys, like, when you unlock these things, it just gets so much easier because you can speak so much more clearly and you can project your image and who you are so much more clearly to that very small group of women. And among that very small group of women, you will be highly desired. I've spoke about this on an Instagram video I made like a few months ago. There are more decent Christian women than there are decent Christian men, but as far as like exceptional Christian men, if you're going to be truly deep, if you're going to be truly masculine, confident, ambitious, all those things, then you really are rare. You really are hard to find. And you really will be highly desired in that group, okay? I've seen this time and time again. If you are not feeling that you have a lot of options or that you have any options, then your temptation will be to listen to more red pill, more, Rich Cooper, Myron Gaines, Casey Zander, these guys, Rollo Tomasi. You'll be more tempted to listen to these guys that give you this sort of doom and gloom, like good women are hard to find. Guys, good women are hard to find if you're not a good man. A lot of the dating advice is built for the masses. And frankly, you're not looking for the masses. And the masses are not looking for you. So it is okay. You don't need to listen to that dating advice. So you have that dating advice, the more doom and gloom on one hand. And then, guys, unfortunately, we have the Christian dating advice that is also for the masses among Christians. And I use air quotes for Christians because it's too easy to align with Christianity in the modern West. I know that we're becoming degenerate. I know that we're moving the wrong direction as a whole, but it's still way too easy to be Christian in the United States, especially. It's too easy. It's way too easy to be a Christian. Nobody cares. Like, unless you're really deep, unless Christ truly permeates your life, unless you are evangelizing, unless you are standing strong for your faith in your workplace, in your school, in your life, then it's just really easy to just be Christian as long as you don't annoy anyone, okay? And so the dating advice that goes out to Christians from the mega churches, from XYZ popular author of the month, is for the masses. It's kind of for everyone. And unfortunately, it's not very good either. They're going to say things like, oh, don't worry if you're not attracted to them at first. Let it grow over time. They're going to say things like, Just find the most godly person you know and marry them. Okay? And those things sound biblical-ish. I call it Christianese. It's things that are not in the Bible, but they kind of rhyme with the Bible. And you need to be very careful with that kind of advice because it is a reflection of our culture. It is not a reflection of how attraction and polarity and matchmaking are supposed to work. It is a very niche reflection of the world we live in today. It's not for you, bro. You're watching it, like if you're still watching this video 15 minutes in, it's because you are looking for the top 1% of the top 1%. And so when you are in that headspace, when you realize that our culture is actually very shallow and degenerate and watered down, even among Christians, and you know that you are looking for a very rare type of woman, then you can become a dog whistle that only that type of woman will hear. But when they do, just like the dogs come running, and again, women are not dogs, but in the same way, they will come running to you. All right? If you are not currently feeling that, I need you to understand that is a you problem. That is a you problem. I was recently just on a call with a guy. He lives in a very liberal area, a very degenerate area. And he has struggled. He's kind of been following the Lord more consistently for about 5 years, maybe closer to 10. But for a while, he's been trying to be on the path to follow God and to find the right type of woman that he wants to marry. But he has not been able to find women that he's excited about. Maybe they're attractive and he's excited about that, or they cook him food and he's excited about that, or there's chemistry, he's excited about that. But he hasn't been able to find women that he's excited about potentially marrying, which again, if you're watching this video at this moment, that is what you are looking for too. And for 5-10 years, he's not been able to find a woman that he's truly excited about marrying. Whereas my clients and I, we can identify these women pretty frequently. And they're in our circles pretty frequently. I remember one guy, one of my actual clients a couple years ago, we were coming out of the partnership, the coaching program, and I said, hey man, we need to get you around this type of girl. This is the type of girl that you want. And he said, Luke, I don't know any girls like that. And the truth was he did. He actually did. He had already brought her up on a call. He's married to this girl now, by the way. He got married shortly after, in the grand scheme, it was like a year after we stopped working together or so is when he got married. Okay. He didn't realize who was really in his circle. He didn't realize who he could really make something work with. Okay. But when he made the identity shifts and the confidence shift, and by the way, this guy was not short. He's good looking, in shape, aggressive in his career. Like, this guy's solid, okay? When he made those shifts, though, in the inner man, that's when he was able to open up his horizons. He was getting plenty of attention from women who he was not excited to marry, even though they were great looking, even though they were maybe very feminine and really fun. He wasn't getting attention from the type of woman he wanted to marry. And guys, whether you're like him, you're taller, you're good looking, you're in shape, you got your money right, he had those things going for him. Whether you're like him and you're getting tons of attention from women, or whether you are, shorter and overweight and financially unstable or whatever, no matter where these guys are that come to me, they all have the same issue. They can't find a high quality woman that they're excited to marry, okay? Whether you're on this end of the spectrum or that end, that is the issue that all of these guys are facing. And I'm here to tell you, you have a disproportionate unfair advantage if you can learn to be confident, if you can learn to be masculine, if you can learn to be the type of man that the type of woman you're looking for is looking for. And unfortunately, the red pill advice is incomplete, and the Christianese advice is also incomplete. If you're not feeling that advantage, then I need you to ask yourself this question and be very honest. Be very, very, very honest. Is it because the dating market is cooked? Or is it because there's something you need to change? And this is the question I posed to the guy I was talking to recently who had been struggling for, 5+ years to find someone. It's like, hey, 5 years, that's a decent amount of time. If you've been struggling for 5 years to find a woman who you could be excited to marry and who could be excited to marry you. And by the way, I've come across multiple women like that. My clients come across multiple women like that. But if you have had trouble finding that type of woman for 5 years plus, you have to ask yourself, is it really because the dating market is cooked? Because if the dating market is cooked and you're just never going to find someone, then what's another 5 years going to do? Are you really going to just get lucky or have God just drop her across your path? Statistically, no. And marriage is happening later and less frequently for everybody in our culture. So if you think that is the root cause of your problem, then you should probably just plan to be single, because that problem is not going to get any better. It really won't. And unfortunately, unless we experience some kind of a massive nationwide revival, you're not going to have a bunch of better options available to you. So if you are really sitting there thinking dating is cooked, I'm too chopped or whatever, then you really, I'm not trying to be mean, but maybe you should give up, because that's not going to get better. Okay? So again, if you have spent 5 years plus open to dating, trying to find the right type of woman, but you've not been able to find a woman that you're truly excited about, then you do need to ask yourself, is it because the dating market is cooked? Or is it because you're not showing up the right way to attract the right type of woman into your life? And again, if the dating market is cooked, maybe you give up because it's not going to get any better. Okay? And if you've already spent 5+ years looking, what is another 5+ years actually going to do? 5+ years is a long time. Okay? Unless the dating market is just cooked, then you would have been able to find someone in that 5 years, right? You have to ask yourself, what about me do I need to change so that I can show up in a way to be that dog whistle for the types of women that I want? You got to be honest with yourself. And if you get to that place and you're brave enough to say, hey, it's working for other people, but not for me. And you're willing to throw aside the red pill, you're willing to throw aside the Christianese, and you're willing to just sit and be honest with yourself and say, hey, what is it about how I am showing up, about the types of circles I'm running in, about how I present myself to the world that is preventing me from attracting that type of woman? Because you really should have a disproportionate advantage as a Christian in this society if you're doing it right. If that is all making sense to you and you're starting to think, hey, maybe I don't want to just give up or surrender my odds to the dating market. Maybe you're realizing that you don't want to be at the mercy of your local dating pool like you have been for years. If that's you and you're thinking that, what I want you to do, I'll put a link in the description of this video. So it'll be the first link you see. There is a video that I made about how to transform yourself into the masculine, confident man. And in that video, I go through the exact steps I use for my clients, the exact steps I used for myself. I talk a lot about my story. I talk a lot about the things I had to overcome to get to that place. And I want you to go watch that video, okay? I want you to scroll down. You can do it right now. You don't have to watch this till the end. I'm about to wrap up. Literally scroll down, watch that video, and see if that makes sense to you, okay? I think it'll help you. It's helped a lot of guys. It's in the description. I'm going to put a link right there. But yeah, guys, I'm back in Kona for a while. I've just been traveling, and so back in the groove here. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at narrowwayman. And thanks for watching this week's For the Boys. This is episode 47 or 48. I need to do some more uploads, so I'm not sure, but appreciate you guys, and scroll down and watch that video. Take care. I'll see you soon.